You are now tuned into Fam's Garage Podcast with hosts Sir G20, Sir Miles High, and the First Lady Lily GT.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sir Miles High, 1/3 of Fam's Garage Podcast and Fam's Garage. Just hitting you up with a little bit of road info, or just road chop it up. I am on the road out here and just thinking about vehicles and thinking about tuners and thinking about some of the conversations that we've had, over the past few episodes, if not more, on just the state of electric vehicles when it comes down to not only the automotive world, but the cause and effect in the tuner world. And I've been thinking about some of the things that we haven't really spoken about, which one of the biggest things is when it comes down to the slow issuance of electric vehicles, even though it seems like all these companies are, all of a sudden have the great electric rush, is that it threatens the gas companies and the gas movements and stuff like that, because the more vehicles we have operate on electric, it also means that there's going to be a shift away from gas. And that's big, because I can only imagine how many automakers have a lot of stock and make a lot of money through their gas endeavors. We're talking about not only the regular vehicles that everybody's driving around in the day-to-day, but we're also talking about delivery vehicles. Amazon has switched over to electric, or is switching over, I should say, to electric. And between them, between FedEx, between the post office, I can only imagine and see the ripple effect, because of businesses looking at the cost effectiveness of not having to pay for gas. And if you have a fleet of trucks, wherever your main hub is, your warehouse where these trucks come home, one of the biggest things is going to be, right, to make sure you have a sufficient battery that is going to be able to provide enough power for that all day driving and how many miles. And so it's a very interesting thing when it comes down to electric vehicles. Not to mention, you have the left or the right, whichever way you want to swing them, that fighting or having the ability to talk about the waste of electric batteries. So there is the byproduct that we have to think about of, what happens to electric batteries. One of the things that we're noticing here on the East Coast is a alarming rise of fires due to these lithium-ion batteries catching fire. Now, we haven't got that many as far as vehicles, but we're getting a lot as far as two-wheeled mobility. So these scooters, which they can be just a different brand, a different manufacturer and manufacturing that is bringing about these, that are making them not as safe or convenient as, let's say, the ones that are going into a car. However, we still have these stories of car batteries that have also caught fire. So it's a very interesting mix, I think, when it comes down to the electric movement, and whether we're rushing it, whether we're calling for it to slow down. I think it's just a very interesting time and place that we're in with the electric car movement. And that also largely comes into, I guess, how it affects tuners, right? And so G20 and I have had this conversation a few times about how it affects tuners, and is it a largely negative? Is it a positive? Is it a middle of the road where tuners are not going to be as affected? One of the things that I have seen a little bit about, I would like to see more of, is, honestly, the hacking of these things, where, people are trying to push its limits to see, where can we take things? How much more can we get out of it? And the same way electric vehicles before Tesla existed, and have been to market, is the same way that I'm pretty sure, tuners are, working that computer and trying to figure out how can I, rebalance this battery and rebalance this system to be able to get the maximum output, if not more, than this system can provide. So it's an amazing time. It's an interesting time, especially because it's ramped up so much lately, where we have tons of makers that have stepped into this game, thrown their hat in, and they are creating some very interesting vehicles. I want to say thank you to Tesla for making the movement interesting, because Tesla made the vehicles look sexy. They look different, and that pushed every other automaker to say, you know what, we don't have to make an ugly vehicle in order to make this vehicle. We can make a beautiful vehicle and it be electric and it be dope and it be awesome. So again, thank you, Tesla, for making a vehicle and putting these other companies on alert and realizing that they need to stop their bullshit. It just really sucks that we are also so far behind the time, so to speak. So we have all the pitfalls, especially because everybody wants to do everything at the same time. So people want to do self-driving cars, electric self-driving. So it's a wild gambit. Kudos to all those who are doing hybrids, because you have figured out that while you want to move forward, you also want to make sure that if that fails, there is a backup system involved that you can rely on, and that can hold you down. So kudos to those with the hybrid vehicles as well. You guys are really forward thinking at the moment. So that's my little thought on electric vehicles. Once again, it's Smiles High, a third of Fam's Garage, just giving a few thoughts on the current situation when it comes down to this. Thank you for listening. Catch you guys on the flip side.